In the verdant plains of Eleusis, near the ancient city of Athens, a profound religious ritual was performed annually for nearly 2,000 years. The Eleusinian Mysteries, named after their sanctuary at Eleusis, were among the most secretive and revered rites in the ancient world. So sacrosanct were these rituals that revealing their secrets was punishable by death. Even today, scholars remain largely in the dark about what precisely transpired during these ceremonies. Yet despite, or perhaps because of, this veil of secrecy, the mysteries became a central part of the ancient Greek spiritual landscape and deeply influenced Western esoteric thought for centuries to come. At the heart of the Eleusinian Mysteries was the myth of Demeter and Persephone, a tale that encapsulated the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Demeter, the goddess of agriculture and fertility, was said to have lost her daughter Persephone to Hades, god of the underworld, who abducted her to be his queen. In her grief, Demeter wandered the earth, neglecting her divine duties and causing a global famine. Eventually, a compromise was reached. Persephone would spend part of the year in the underworld and part of it with her mother. This myth mirrored the seasonal cycle of sowing and reaping, decay and renewal, and became the symbolic core of the Eleusinian rites. It is believed that the initiates experienced a reenactment of this myth, not merely as spectators, but as spiritual participants, undergoing a transformation of the soul. The mysteries were divided into two parts: the lesser mysteries, held in the spring at a grey near Athens, and the greater mysteries, celebrated in the fall in Eleusis. The lesser mysteries served as a form of preparation for the more profound and transformative greater mysteries, which attracted initiates from across the Greek world, including emperors, philosophers, poets, and commoners. Unlike most ancient cults, the Eleusinian Mysteries were inclusive. Anyone who spoke Greek and had not committed murder could be initiated, regardless of gender, class, or nationality. This openness was rare in a time when religion was often exclusive and entwined with local identity. The path to initiation began months in advance, with sacred rituals and purifications. When the time came for the greater mysteries, thousands would join a sacred procession from Athens to Eleusis, walking along the sacred way, singing hymns, carrying sacred objects, and ritually purifying themselves in the sea. Along the way, they would stop at designated stations to perform ritual acts, recite prayers, and listen to sacred stories. The atmosphere was a blend of communal festivity and solemn devotion, reflecting the dual nature of the mysteries as both a public celebration and a deeply personal journey. Upon arrival in Eleusis, the initiates would gather at the telesterion, the massive hall of initiation capable of holding thousands. Here, under the supervision of the hierophant, the high priest of the mysteries, the sacred rites would be performed. This is the part of the ceremony that remains most shrouded in mystery. Initiates were sworn to silence, and even centuries later, when Greek culture had fallen to Rome and the mysteries were in decline, no full account of what occurred within the telesterion was ever written down. The famed philosopher Socrates was notably silent on the subject, and the playwright Aeschylus was nearly executed for allegedly revealing aspects of the mysteries in one of his plays. Still, from the scattered testimonies of ancient authors like Plato, Cicero, and Plutarch, and hints found in hymns and archaeological remains, some outline of the experience emerges. Initiates were shown sacred objects, heard sacred words, and possibly saw a dramatic reenactment of Persephone's return from the underworld. Some accounts speak of a powerful vision, a great light, as one initiate described it, that represented the revelation of divine truths. Others mention the consumption of a kykeon, a sacred drink made of barley and mint, which may have had psychoactive properties. This possibility has led some scholars to suggest that the Eleusinian experience was not just symbolic, but induced an altered state of consciousness, allowing initiates to encounter the divine directly. Whatever the method, the effect was transformative. Ancient writers consistently describe the mysteries as a life-changing experience. Cicero, the Roman statesman and philosopher, wrote that Eleusis taught the very principles of life, and Plato hinted that the rites gave initiates a glimpse of the eternal world of forms. For many, the mysteries offered a kind of spiritual rebirth, a sense of being united with the divine and with nature's eternal cycle. In a world where death was feared and the afterlife was often imagined as a gloomy and joyless place, the mysteries promised hope, even bliss, after death. Initiates came away believing that they would be rewarded in the afterlife, a radical idea in a culture without a fixed doctrine of salvation. The secrecy surrounding the rites was not just a religious requirement, it was integral to the experience itself. By keeping the content of the mysteries hidden, the initiates maintained the awe and sanctity of the rituals. The unknown, the unspoken, became a sacred space in which divine truths could be revealed without being profaned. This is perhaps why the mysteries endured for so long, even as empires rose and fell around them. They offered not dogma but a personal encounter with the divine, tailored to the inner life of the initiate, and protected by a strict code of silence that elevated the experience beyond ordinary worship. The political and cultural weight of the Eleusinian Mysteries cannot be overstated. The sanctuary at Eleusis was under Athenian control, and Athens used its religious prestige to exert influence across the Greek world. The mysteries also served as a unifying institution. During the rites, warfare between Greek city-states was suspended, and even enemies could participate as equals. This created a rare moment of pan-Hellenic unity, where shared reverence for the divine transcended political boundaries. Some scholars believe that this unity and the ethical values implicit in the mysteries played a role in shaping the moral and philosophical currents of the time, including the development of Platonism, Stoicism, and later Christian mysticism. But the end was inevitable. As Christianity rose to dominance in the Roman Empire, pagan cults came under increasing pressure. The Eleusinian Mysteries, with their polytheistic roots and ritual secrecy, were seen as incompatible with the monotheistic and moralizing mission of the Church. In 396 AD, the sanctuary at Eleusis was destroyed by the Visigoths, and by the early 5th century, the mysteries were officially abolished under Theodosius I's anti-pagan edicts. The rites were never revived, and with their suppression came the permanent loss of their inner secrets. In modern times, the Eleusinian Mysteries continue to fascinate and inspire. Their influence can be seen in Renaissance Hermeticism, Masonic rituals, and various strands of Western esotericism. Psychologists like Carl Jung admired the symbolic richness of the Demeter Persephone myth, interpreting it as a metaphor for individuation and the integration of the shadow self. Meanwhile, researchers in the fields of religious studies and ethnobotany have speculated that the kykeon may have contained psychoactive substances such as ergot, the fungus from which LSD is derived, drawing parallels between ancient initiations and modern psychedelic experiences. What remains most striking about the Eleusinian Mysteries is how deeply human they were. They did not promise power or wealth, but offered something more elusive, a sense of meaning, a connection to the cosmos, and a reassurance in the face of death. They spoke to a fundamental need in the human spirit, to feel part of something eternal, to find light in darkness, to discover that even in death, there might be renewal. For nearly 2 millennia, people traveled across seas and continents, forsaking worldly concerns for a brief moment of transcendence within the sacred halls of Eleusis. In a world increasingly defined by the quantifiable and the known, the Eleusinian Mysteries remain a powerful reminder of the sacredness of mystery itself. They teach us that some truths are too profound to be spoken, that some experiences must be felt rather than explained. Their legacy endures not in what we know about them, but in what we still don't, and in the silent awe they continued to inspire.